Hello, and welcome to Sideways. This week, I'm recording this introduction before I've edited the episode, so I can't remember what we talked about, and I can't tell you in order to help you decide if you want to listen or not. Plus, I can't take long with this because Nellie's in season, and I'm on the lookout for randy dogs. I know we talked about yoga. Anyway, dealing with uncertainty.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah. Is your COVID well and truly behind you now?
Yeah, look.
What am I looking at? Oh, is that your test? Can't really see it. There's no red line on it anymore.
Exactly. That's the first time I've had no red line for a fortnight.
Well, good work. Good work, sir.
Thanks.
And you're feeling good?
Yeah, I'm still a bit Qatari, but other than that,
Are you?
I don't mean I'm from Qatar.
No, which is very much in the news at the moment with the World Cup draw taking place this week.
45 seconds in, and you've already mentioned football.
Well, yeah. Well, you led me there. Should we get on with the subject matter in hand?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is though.
Well, it's the heading is dealing with uncertainty.
Oh yeah, just before we get into that though.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something this morning, bit random, I know, but is there anything you've thought to yourself, I've always wanted to do that, but I've never done it? You know, now, I mean, obviously, if you're in your 20s, that sort of thing is not that surprising. But when you get to our ripe old age, is there anything that kind of falls into that category of something you've always sort of meant to do but never got around to?
I've never really had a bucket list, that's for sure.
No, I don't mean bucket lists. I mean, I'm thinking of things that are quite mundane. I'll give you two examples.
Okay, yeah, you're going to have to help me out here.
Two examples from my own life.
Okay.
One is I've always thought I'd really like to do yoga, but never done it.
Okay.
Right. And the second one is I've always wanted a pressure cooker, but I've never had one. Now those are not things you put on a bucket list, are they? You know how I feel about bucket lists.
And I feel the same too, really. So no, I haven't really got anything. No.
Have you ever done yoga?
Yeah.
Have you? Do you like it? Yeah. Oh, now I feel quite jealous. If you've got a pressure cooker as well, this call's ending.
No, I haven't got a pressure cooker. No, I don't tend to spend too much time in the kitchen, as you know. But they used to have a yoga class down at the local recovery centre, and the lady that used to run it kept badgering me to go and do some.
Right.
And so I did it a couple of times, and I thought, this is not really for me.
Oh, right. So you didn't feel zen.
Well, I liked the meditation part of it, but when it actually came to the physical doing stuff, I thought, no.
So, okay, so that might be my route into yoga then, to get an addiction problem.
Yeah.
Get into the recovery hub. Get invited along to yoga.
Oh, that's where it goes wrong because they're not running them down there anymore. So your plan would have fallen down at that point.
I'm glad you told me that, because if I'd gone out and developed an addiction problem just for that purpose, try and source some yoga and it hadn't worked out, I'd have been quite miffed.
Yeah, you would have done. So I think I've saved you from yourself there.
Thanks.
Anyway, is that your before we start then, effectively? Isn't it?
I suppose it was. It's just something that I was thinking about as I was walking through the frosty fields this morning.
All right. Okay. Because you had a bit of a pop at me last week. You scolded me for moving on to the subject matter without giving you a chance for before we start. So
exactly.
Okay. Well, I've got a quick before we start. Actually, before we get on to the subject matter, and that was a bit of a sad moment really this week because we went to a funeral for one of my fellow addicts, young girl Janie. She's only 47.
Oh dear.
And it was a sad moment. So just a quick tribute to a beautiful soul, really. And it's an illustration as to where, although it was a cardiac arrest, and we don't know what the causal links were, but we can only guess at this stage until the coroner's report comes out. But yeah, a very sad moment. Leaving behind a husband, Matt, such a great guy, and a little daughter, Scarlett, who's only, I think she's about 6. Oh, so dear. Yeah, it is awful. But I'll come on to the gratitude part of that at the end of this episode.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll crack on with the subject matter. This dealing with uncertainty. Now, my initial thought was, that's quite easy to define. It's the opposite of certainty, But apparently, well, I looked it up, and that's very lazy to use that definition, because apparently the opposite of uncertainty is not certainty, but it's presence, and I'll come on to that later on, because I think that's quite an important matter. So remember that. We'll come back to that later on down the line.
I'll try.
Okay, well, that's a bit of homework for you as well. Like you'd sent me homework. It's just
you won't let that go, will you?
No, I won't, because I'm still sore.
Well, just out of spite, then I'm not going to remember that.
No, you won't.
What was it you wanted me to remember?
Very funny.
It's gone out of my head already.
Yeah, already. Yeah, well, I'll jolt your memory later on when it comes to that point. Don't worry about that. But I want to just get a quick thanks to the Greater Good magazine, which is where I drew some of my information from this week.
I don't even know that.
No, I didn't until I come across it online. But there's one particular article I was reading, which was very good on this subject matter. And it starts off, and I'll just quote what they say at the start.
Okay.
They say that human beings crave information about the future in the same way that we crave food, sex, and other primary rewards. I think perhaps we need to listen to season 5, episode 17 on dealing with cravings at this point. So if anyone gets this point, you can jump back into this after you listen to that episode. It goes on to say our brains perceive ambiguity as a threat, and they try to protect us by diminishing our ability to focus on anything other than creating certainty. Mm-hmm. So, for example, they give a couple of examples there. Job uncertainty, for example. Again, we touched on that last week, I think, wasn't it, in our episode on happiness. But job uncertainty, it tends to be more significant. It takes a more significant toll on our health than actually losing our job. So it's that uncertainty. If there's rumors going around, if there's potential it's going to happen, that uncertainty creates a lot more anxiety than when it actually happens. When you can draw a line under it and move on. Yeah,
because anxiety only lives in the future.
Exactly, and that's also there was I was reading about this. There was a research project where participants in the project were told that they sectioned them up. So one half was told you've got a 50% chance of receiving a painful electric shock, right? And those people felt more anxious than those participants who were told they were definitely going to receive an electric shock.
Yeah.
Which again illustrates the uncertainty and I suppose the anxiety attached to that as well.
Yeah. It's like if you don't know something, you can feel uncertain. You can feel anxious about it because anxiety lives in the future. And when it actually happens, if it happens, you're busy dealing with it. Nobody feels anxious in the midst of dealing with something. You feel something else. You might, feel frustrated or something else. But you can't experience that same anxiety because anxiety is all about what hasn't happened.
It is, and because we've got this human or this need as human beings to know what's going to happen in the future, we crave that, and which is why there's entire industries sort of devoted to filling this sort of blank, like astrology, for example. That people rely on that. A lot of people believe it, don't they? That it's actually true, and that they hold store by it. Going back as far as sort of Nostradamus, and do you remember those old Moore's almanacs that always used to be sold in shops? You could pick one up at the tills.
I do. Yeah.
All complete rubbish again, but it's it gives people an idea of certainty. It fills in some of those blanks where I suppose they don't know what's going to happen, and we don't. No one knows what's going to happen in the future.
I'll tell you one of the things that I find really fascinating about certainty and uncertainty is as you're saying, one of our kind of fundamental human needs is the need to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
the need for certainty. But actually, one of our other fundamental human needs is the need for variety, which by definition is uncertainty. So, we need both. If you think about a relationship, if you're in a romantic relationship, the best romantic relationships are ones that have a balance of certainty, which is the dependability, the trust, the love, the stability, and uncertainty, because the uncertainty provides the passion and the spontaneity and the excitement. And if you only had certainty either in your life or in your relationship, you'd get so bored you wouldn't want to live.
True.
So for everybody who thinks, no, I've got to have certainty, even people who really struggle with terrible anxiety, if you really did know everything that was going to happen and you always knew how every day was going to pan out, that would not be an enjoyable life, however much you think it would.
No, that's a good point. But it makes you. I mean, I know, for example, people that follow like fundamentalist religions, for example, they find comfort in that because the fundamentalists, they provide security, don't they? And they provide sort of unambiguity, if you like, and supposed absolute truths. So if you follow that, you've got a certain path, and that's it. So if you believe, you have faith in that, it takes away that uncertainty because you know what's going to happen, you know where you're going.
Well, I mean, it's kind of allied to the fact that part of the difficulty that we have in wanting certainty all the time is that we're kind of missing a more important aspect of that, which is rather than wanting to know what's going to happen, it's worth reminding yourself that whatever does happen, you will deal with. Because if you couldn't deal with what happened, you wouldn't be here now, would you? If you think about everything that you've already been through in your life, and for most people, most of us have been through challenging situations. If you'd known those things were going to happen before they happened, your anxiety would have gone through the roof and you'd have been telling yourself, I can't cope with that. I can't cope with that. But actually, when it came to it, you did cope with it. And there's no better illustration of this than COVID.
True.
If none of us have had a bigger example of collective uncertainty than the one that we got at the beginning of 2020. And yet, although obviously a lot of people have lost their lives through that, those of us that are still here, anybody listening to this, you made it, didn't you? If you'd have been told it was coming, it would have flattened you. But you managed to get through it.
It is a good illustration.
It is worth us remembering that even in the absence of certainty, we have enough steel to manage our way through most things that befall us.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a quote. I haven't written it down. It's a short one, but I did come across it when I was doing my research that said that uncertainty is the only certainty that there is.
Yeah.
Which is true, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because everything's and there isn't anything there's no absolute guarantees going forward of anything that's going to happen.
Well, that's the weird thing about certainty. The fact that it is something that we all want to some degree, yet it doesn't exist. There isn't any. There isn't any at all. The only thing you and I know is that we're sitting here now talking to one another. We don't know what another of us know what's going to happen next, do we?
No, we don't. Once the microphone goes off, that's it, mate.
Yeah. So there we are.
The gloves are off. There was another quote that I came across that just said that knowing how to live with insecurity is the only security. And that's the key, isn't it, really, of learning how to live with it. And because once we come to terms with the fact that uncertainty is always going to be there, it's dealing with it and how to cope with it, because it can induce anxiety. So there's several points that came up as sort of pointers to help you to deal with uncertainty going forward. So I just wanted to go through some of those, really.
Yeah, fine.
You all right with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first one that I came across was it just said, don't resist. Resistance sort of prolongs our pain and difficulty. It sort of amplifies our emotions. The emotions we're feeling.
Yes, it does. And in fact, I was thinking about this the other day, how when I work with a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, as you can imagine. Yeah. And one of the interesting phenomena about them is that you'll see them working very, very hard to create certainty in their lives. So, for instance, if they've got something they've got to do, they'll try and find strategies for themselves to avoid it if they can.
Okay.
And the more they look for strategies to avoid it, the worse their anxiety becomes, the more worried they become about certainty. And yet, if you then contrast that with things that they didn't know they didn't know were going to happen. So, things that just come out of the blue, they deal with those like nothing, like it was nothing, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so that kind of point about accepting the uncertainty, without resistance is absolutely right. It's a curse for us knowing things are coming up, or imagining that, this might happen or that might happen, and trying to sandbag against it. It's the things that come out of nowhere that we seem to deal with more effectively than any.
Yeah. So knowing the future is worse than not knowing it, isn't it?
Exactly. Who wants to know the future? Crikey, that'd be awful.
It would. Yeah, it would. I mean, the aphorism, what we resist persists, I think fits into what we're talking about here as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It is that acceptance. I mean, are we looking at self-acceptance there as well, do you think? Or?
Well, I expect there's an element of self-acceptance there. Because when you struggle with uncertainty, in my experience, a lot of people then are very self-critical about their struggle with uncertainty. They'll be very disparaging of themselves. "Oh, come on, pull yourself together." So I think that the absence of resistance is also about accepting yourself the way you are. You can feel fearful about something, you can feel worried and anxious about something, but don't beat yourself up for it, because all that will do is just to make it worse.
Yeah. I mean, that acceptance. I mean, acceptance doesn't mean resignation to it, does it? It doesn't mean you got to droop your shoulders and think, "Oh God, this is going to last forever. I'm never going to get through this."
No,
it is accepting it, isn't it, and dealing with it, and accepting that things don't stay the same forever. I know we've used that quite a lot with dealing with a lot of different emotions, isn't it? But this one, I think it fits in quite well as well.
Yeah, and that is an important one, because the story we tell ourselves around uncertainty is, if this happens, it'll finish me, and that is different from, if this happens, it might be very, very bad and it might really challenge me, but I will manage my way through it, which is a completely different perspective.
It is, and it moves on to the next point that came up in the research, was about investing in yourself. But this is dealing with the anxiety, really, I suppose, as opposed to the uncertainty itself, but the anxiety that arises out of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Practice self-care. And I think people sometimes take self-care or interpret it as being selfish, but it really isn't, is it?
No, it's really necessary. If you're struggling to deal with uncertainty, then you do need to treat yourself with care and, gently and with compassion. Because you can't just stop yourself feeling what you feel. If you're worried about something, or you're worried about not knowing something, you are worried about it and you're going to experience that. So the reason that self-care becomes so important is because you're kind of nursing yourself through it. Imagine yourself with someone else, someone that you love, a friend or whatever, who's struggling with something, feeling afraid of something. You have to kind of treat yourself the way that you would treat them. And so many people seem to struggle to do that. They'll be very, very kind of giving and supportive to their friends and family, but they won't do that for themselves. So it is really important to be able to do that for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That does come up quite a lot in groups, really.
I bet it does.
People, all the time. People are sort of running around, someone's trying to help other people, almost to the detriment to their own recovery. And we always try and emphasize it. Get your own recovery on track. Concentrate on that. Practice self-care. And then you can exercise that later on down the line when you're in a better position to do so. You can, start to pass on the baton of recovery and to help other people. And which leads on to, again, it's almost like a subsection really of investing in yourself, but find healthy comfort items, it suggests, not
like a pressure cooker.
Like a pressure cooker or something like that. Yeah, something that will give you a little bit of
yoga.
Brings a little bit of joy to your life, yeah. But although it mentions things like, looking at your gratitude list, which we're always big fans of, or going for a walk or having a nap or watching funny films. It also goes on to say what not to look at. Make sure you don't look at social media, and don't go down the junk food route as comforting yourself, or very relevant, drinking.
Yeah, it's interesting because the examples you gave there of, a constructive routes to self-care, like having a nap, going for a walk. I can't remember what else you said, but anyway, they all struck me with the possible exception of watching a funny film.
Yeah,
They're all kind of examples of you turning towards yourself, being with yourself. You know, if you go for a walk, there's just you and your thoughts.
Yeah.
And that, you know, sometimes that takes some courage, but it is the best way to soothe yourself. If you turn to social media or junk food or obviously drink, you're turning away from yourself.
Yeah.
So when you need succor and support, you have to do something in terms of self-care that actually connects you with you, not disconnects you from you. And so that's I think that's why those examples are, you know, good examples of either turning towards or away from yourself.
So the funny film one is not a good idea.
Well, I think the funny film's fine. You know, it's just it didn't fit with my point, so I wanted to discard it.
Get rid of it. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to right now. I'm going to delete it from my notes. It's been very poor example, just for future reference. But just leading on from that, then, if you're alone with your thoughts, do you think there's a risk there? Because we can. You know, you mustn't believe everything that you think, must you? It's true. I mean, we can easily cook up the worst case scenarios, can't we? Look at, again, I'm going to refer back to another one of our episodes here that we did on catastrophizing.
Yeah.
Very easy to do. Very easy for people with addiction issues to do that. We do it all the time. But
it is actually, that's probably where the example of the funny film does play an important part.
All right, I'll put that back. I'm going to put that back in. It is good after all.
Well, I'll tell you the reason I think it's good. It's good because it is a way of not being overwhelmed by your thoughts, but you're still doing something positive and constructive and kind for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's also like if you go for a walk or you're doing something where you are alone with your thoughts, then as I said before, you know, that takes some courage and strength. If you're not feeling that you've got that in you, do something else that's positive that distracts you, which, you know, would be watching a funny film. So, but I think if you can endure particularly about uncertainty and about worry and anxiety, you know, I often say to people, if you're going to worry about something, try and worry on your terms. And that's where something like going for a walk comes in, because if you go for a walk, what you can say to yourself is, I'm going to go for a walk now. It might be uncomfortable, but I'm going to think about this. I'm going to let it turn around in my head.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out, you know, in nature, getting some fresh air. And then when I come back, I'll do something different. You know, I'll make a cup of tea and I'll watch a funny film or whatever. So I think, you know, it's much better to take time to do that on your terms than it is to push those thoughts away all the time and then find yourself going to bed and they all come, you know, rushing up and you can't sleep and it all just makes the whole thing worse. So if you're going to worry about something that hasn't happened, then worry when it suits you. Don't try not to worry because it ain't going to work.
Just a point I'm thinking of there, when we worry about things and we do tend to lead our thoughts go to the worst possible case scenario, don't they? Yep. Is there any sort of way, I mean, can we just try and work on the best case scenario and see that as the outcome, or is that going to upset our expectations? Yeah.
Do you want me to give you a little technique to use?
Please, yeah, if there is one available.
The reason you can't stop those thoughts is because they're too powerful. So you have to give them some space. So the little technique that I use with people is this one. When you feel anxious about something, ask yourself what it is you're anxious about, and then ask yourself, you can write this down. It works better if you write it down. So you can kind of rate your anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10, and then ask yourself what you're anxious about. Ask yourself what you think is going to happen. What's your worst fear? And this is a question that you're essentially asking to your emotional brain. So you don't want your logic in the way here. You want to write down all the things that you think might happen. Oh, this could happen, and then that could happen. And if that happens, this might happen. And, you know, really let loose. Let your imagination run riot. Worst possible scenario. Because what you're doing then is you're giving your emotional brain the opportunity to have its say. When you've done that, the next question to ask yourself is, right, what evidence have I got that proves that this is going to happen? And I can tell you now, the answer to that question will be I haven't got any.
No, none at all. No.
Right? You won't have any evidence. You might have a hunch and you might say, well, this happened in the past. Doesn't matter. You won't be able to prove that what you're fearful about is going to happen. And then the next question you ask yourself, and this is a question for your logical brain, you say to yourself, okay, so what is the most likely thing that's going to happen? Now, even the most likely scenario might be bad. It might still be something that's going to be difficult for you and painful and take some getting through. But it won't be catastrophizing like your emotional brain does. So what you've done is you've said, what am I frightened of? Ask my emotional brain what it's frightened of, and it will tell you the worst case scenario. What evidence have I got? I haven't got any. Then ask your logic, what's most likely? And then revisit your anxiety, because 9 times out of 10, you'll find that you do feel a little bit calmer. And the reason you feel calmer is because you've allowed your emotional brain to have its say. And then you've kind of gently used your logic to say, okay, well, some of that might be true, but it's unlikely to be quite that bad. And if you write all those things down and chuck the bit of paper away, as I say, you'll probably find that you've calmed yourself down a little bit. How's that?
Very good. And I think we can all learn from that. And it's certainly something I'll try going forward. So the next point, it sort of leads on from there. Really. It's about paying attention. Attend to what's actually happening to our inner world right now. Yeah. Here in the present. Be in the moment. In the moment, and which it comes back to my definition of the opposite of certainty is not uncertainty, but it's presence. Yeah, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a client last week, and we were talking about how in the past few weeks, or the past few months, obviously a lot of clients have been speaking about COVID, and more recently they'll be speaking about the war in Ukraine. Yeah. But what happens is after a few months have passed with COVID and after a few weeks passed with the war, people kind of stop talking about it, not because they don't care about it anymore, but because something in you is kind of settled with it. It's like, okay, this is happening now, I'm in it. And it's quite interesting to watch that although people don't stop being fearful and don't stop feeling anxious about it, they kind of come to terms with their anxiety. And that is about, I think, being in the moment. Okay, here I am. This is happening. I'm still alive at the moment. So I'm just going to, I'm going to crack on, which is very different from when something starts and you think, I don't know what the future holds now. I don't think I can cope with this. So it kind of takes us a little bit of time to balance ourselves and orientate ourselves. And most of the time then we're able to function again. There's no more certainty. No, quite. So we haven't calmed down because now we're certain. We're not creating more certainty. We're just learning to deal with the uncertainty. Yeah. And we have the perfect illustration at the moment going on, don't we? Yeah. I hope there isn't a nuclear war today because I got my washing out. Well, quite, yeah. And it would ruin my notes as well. You don't want fallout all over your notes, do you? Which takes me on to my last point, really. Was it a contentious point? It may be, but it says to avoid rescuers. And they go on to say that rescuers tend to be better enablers than saviours. Yeah. If we stay stuck, a rescuer then they get to keep their sort of hero status. And rescuers tend to give us permission to avoid taking responsibility for our own lives. Yeah, but it does caveat that with saying, on the other hand, emotionally supportive friends or therapists, it says, see us as capable of solving our own problems. And that's the issue, isn't it? It is, because what's being referenced there is the drama triangle. Yes. So our old favourite, which I think we've spoken about before. So if you allow someone to sort of come in and rescue you, you are by definition allowing yourself to be a victim of your circumstances, and you can't afford that. You have to be in a position where you'll take personal responsibility for what's happening and find your way through it. And you're right, there's a massive difference between someone trying to rescue and someone supporting you. Yeah. Someone, giving you a bit of belief, you can deal with this, you can sort this out. We don't, rescuers by and large are not valuable to us in any situation unless we're stuck up a mountain in the snow. And the rescue is St. Bernard although you wouldn't want the brandy in the around his neck, would you? No, a bar of fruit and nut to be suffice.
Kendal mint cake.
Kendal mint cake. Now you're talking.
Yeah.
So that's about it, really.
Very good. That's interesting. That.
Well, I knew that you'd have some valuable input upon that, and it's one I can strike off. It was one that's been on the list for a long time, actually. Uncertainty. Well,
were you a little bit uncertain about
about doing it?
Doing it.
I didn't know what the definition was, so I couldn't proceed. Once I found out, I was all right. I was away.
Yeah, you created your own bit of certainty. You took responsibility and created a bit of certainty, didn't you?
It's all come together, hasn't it? Good. Right. Should we go on to our gratitude lists then?
Yeah. Do you want to go first this week, just for a change?
I can do. I just wanted going back to the point I made before we start about the funeral. I was really grateful for the collective strength we had at the funeral, with all us aspire to be people collecting together before the memorial service, and then going and all sitting together, and we're a great strength to each other. And I was really impressed. Nice. It was lovely, and although it was very sad and emotional, there was lots of tears. I was very impressed that no one came out and pushed the button or ticked the box that allows you to say, "Do you know what? I feel sorry for myself. Now I'm going to go and have a drink or take some drugs."
That is great. And I tell you, I imagine that one of the other things about that is that if you can get through a situation like that without giving yourself an excuse to relapse, then it probably makes you even stronger, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it is something we talk about there, to take these situations and use it as a motivation. We don't want that to happen, especially when you see the devastation it causes the people around you. Yeah. I think we can all take real strength from that. And I don't know, I felt a bit bad at one point, because when we first found out about it, I was saying, and perhaps you'd pull me up on this as well, I said to people it would be disrespectful to relapse at this point. And I thought, did I say the right thing there or not? Because that's a bit harsh, I thought.
No, I don't think. I think I understand that. I mean, anyway, it's the way you felt, so it can't be wrong.
It was. Okay.
I know what you mean by that. It's like, what a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste it would be.
Yeah,
If a terrible irony that if the trigger for your relapse was someone else's death.
Yeah.
That, may or may not have been directly related to their addiction, but I don't suppose it helped.
No.
So, yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, really, as selfish as it sounds, I think you have to use terrible, challenging situations like that to strengthen your resolve, don't you?
You do.
Otherwise, what's the point? If you can say, well, at least some good came in as much as these people strengthened their own recovery, I imagine that's probably what your friend would want.
Very much so. And I think it's just, I remember when I said it, I was feeling angry at the time. You go through the different emotions when you're dealing with grief. I was really angry about it at that point, and perhaps I spoke perhaps I should have been a bit calmer, but you've sort of settled it.
Again, I think that anger is both understandable, and as we've discussed before, anger's full of energy, and if you can use the energy in anger to push yourself somewhere better, then you've used your anger well. You could say, well, I feel angry, I'm going to have a drink.
Yeah.
Right, that's using your anger destructively, using the power in anger destructively. But what you're doing is you're saying it would be wrong for any of us to relapse now. It would be disrespectful. So actually what you're doing is you're using your anger in a way that strengthens your resolve and hopefully rubs off on other people.
Thanks, mate. You've calmed me down on that one.
That's all right.
So what about yourself? What on your gratitude list?
I've got foraging.
Foraging. Okay, you need to expand that a little bit. I think I know what you're saying.
Well, I went for a lovely walk this morning, as I said earlier, and we went right across the fields and into the woods. Funnily enough, the woods opposite where you live, and down near the stream at the bottom of the woods there's a lot of wild garlic.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
we went foraging for wild garlic, and then later on I'll be making some wild garlic and cheese bread.
Oh, right, that sounds...
Yeah. So
sounds good.
It's always nice to be able to kind of go out and collect stuff from the hedgerows and make stuff with it. Always makes, for some reason, makes stuff that you make taste even better. Best to wash it first, though, otherwise it's covered in dog's piss.
I suppose that would tarnish the taste somewhat, wouldn't
little
it?
bit.
But I was thinking on next week's on the gratitude list for next week, I'll put a nice loaf that Graham baked up for me from wild garlic and herbs and whatever's going in it.
I've only just picked it, haven't I? I'll tell you what, and soon there'll be the elderflowers will be out, so I'll be able to make some elder. Did I ever tell you about the elderberry cordial I made that nearly killed me?
No, but go on.
I made some
elderberry.
Do you want to
save it for another? Do you want to save it for another time, or is it?
I don't know, it fits now, doesn't it? I made some elderberry cordial once, and I put it in one of those jars with one of those sort of ceramic stoppers in it.
Yeah, okay.
Like the Grolsch.
Yeah,
bottles.
yeah.
You'll remember those from your drinking days.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it. I kind of left it there, but of course the sugar in it turned to alcohol. And when I went to open the bottle, the ceramic top flew off like a bullet. I'm not joking. If it had hit me, it would have probably killed me. I mean, it would have gone through my head. It exploded with a ferocity I cannot describe. So I'm never making elderberry anything again. I mean, you could have used it as a weapon.
Death by cordial. You don't want that, do you?
I mean, what a way to go.
Yeah, well, yeah. Putting that on your death certificate would be a bit weird, wouldn't it? Mind
you, I suppose for me, it'd be probably quite a fitting end that something, kitchen related had killed me.
So yeah, Spotify search then. Well, I cut that down. I've cut this down because I'll just give you one, and I've put a track called Uncertainty Blurs the Vision. Now it's by a group called Napalm Death, which you know. Now it's only 40 seconds long.
Yeah. And
at the risk of offending Aaron, who I know is a big fan of this style of music, and I'm sure I've seen him come to groups with a Napalm Death T-shirt on. It's absolutely crap. It's 40 minutes of just noise, but I thought it was a great sort
40
of
seconds. You said 40 minutes then.
40 seconds. Yeah, no, 40 seconds long. But 40 minutes, you wouldn't be able to stand it, honestly. But I thought it was sort of an antidote to Ken Dodd, who we had on last week. It's the other end of the scale. It's complete lack of melody and cheesiness.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of me that's thinking, oh, well, maybe I should listen to that, but I know that I'm not going to.
Honestly, it's only 40 seconds out of your life. Just listen. And if you could make out any of the lyrics, then you're a better man than me. Yeah. It's just growling and noise.
No, it sounds brilliant.
Yeah. So it's on there anyway. So it's available for you to have a listen.
Great. Look forward to it.
Which leads us on to, next on the list of the bands that you really like, but have never bought any of their material. Who have you got on there for this week?
The Jam.
The Jam.
No, I've got Doors, not the Doors, Doors.
Not the Doors.
DAWES. They're an American band, and I haven't got any of their stuff. And I realised, I really like them, but I haven't got any albums by them. But in other news, this morning I bought. I mean, it hasn't arrived yet, but this morning I bought the first album I think I've bought probably for at least 10 years.
A vinyl album?
A vinyl album.
Good man. Which is?
It's called Normal Fears, and it's by a band called Father Son.
All right, no, don't know that. Don't know them.
No, well, they're Scottish.
And you're looking forward to receiving that?
Very much looking forward to it. I feel excited about playing some new vinyl.
I can see that. I can see why you're excited.
Yeah.
But I'm just going back to
this limited edition.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, I see. You're going back down that route again. Are you getting seduced by the colour of the vinyl?
I don't think there are any that aren't blue. So anyway.
I'm just going back to that one, that group called Doors. And why would you call yourself something like that, which is so going to get confused with the Doors?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I mean, it's actually the same name as the make of my first bicycle. My first bicycle was a Doors bicycle.
Was it?
It was a ladies' Doors.
Was it one of those step-through ones?
It was a step-through, yeah.
No crossbar on it, correct, especially for the girls. Suits you, sir.
So I didn't get my skirt caught.
Oh dear. Anyway, so that's about it really. But apart from the group that I'm going to put forward this week, that I don't know why I haven't got any of this stuff, but the Kinks.
Oh well, I can tell you why you haven't got any of the Kinks.
Why? because they're rubbish. They're brilliant. I mean, I think, "Come Dancing" is just one of the best songs ever written.
Good song. That is a good song, but come on, that is not representative of the Kinks.
Well, it is. It is. I mean, I saw the Kinks. They played at Reading one year, and I was actually blown. Probably was it then? I don't know. Were you there?
No.
Yeah,
but I remember 1981.
All right. Well, I saw them there, and I was blown away by them. And I thought that's good. And I've never. What a great! It doesn't get better than that. It's the ultimate.
That is a great song.
Classic, really.
Song. But I think Kinks purists would argue that was not typical Kinks. You're saying it is.
Well, I've listened to a lot of their stuff, and a lot of it is melodic and thoughtful, and just great. And I don't know why I haven't bought any of their stuff. So I apologise directly to
another go to what's his name?
Yeah, do.
What's his name? Ray
Davis.
Ray Davis.
Yeah. Ray Gore. Well, I think I'm going to, yes. Well, listen to a bit of Kinks and a bit of Napalm Death, and then that's your Sunday sorted.
All right. Okay, I'll go and do that now because we've been going on for ages.
Yeah, we have been going on far too long.
Editing. I'll have to start it today in order to finish it in time. All right.
Okay, mate. All right. We'll take it easy.
And you. Laters.
Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.